Hey there, welcome to today's mindset video. We're going to start off a two-part series on stress. So let's get straight into it today. And we're going to begin part one by defining what stress is. Now, stress is very difficult to understand and unpack because people view stress and they experience it very differently. But here's three good definitions that can help us get a pretty good understanding as to what stress is all about. First definition says the gap between your ability to cope and the demands of life which are bestowed upon you. Second definition of stress, it's your reaction to uncomfortable, unfamiliar or unexpected circumstances that require higher energy levels. And we can also say that stress is your unique coping mechanism. So there's three good definitions there. Now, stress can be good and it can be bad for us. Okay, so we can't live a life that is stress-free. It's not only unrealistic, but it's not healthy for us. But we need some stress in order to grow. Now, in physics, stress is defined as a reaction to an external force. Okay, too much stress and an object breaks, but just enough stress triggers strength and growth. The same principles apply to people. Too much stress, too much high intense and ongoing stress, and we can break. But just the right amount of stress can trigger strength and growth, which is what we need. Here's a key question for you to ponder. Who is a person who seems to deal well with stress that you know? I think of paramedics that I know, police officers, even politicians like our Prime Minister and Premier. I definitely wouldn't want their jobs. They seem to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. But I'm often astounded as to how these types of people can deal so well with such high intensity, stressful situations day to day. I wonder why that is. So I'm going to break down the stress process now. There's three stages to stress. The first stage is the stressor. Okay, these are the triggers that indicate you are going to experience stress, and they can be occupational, work-related, and personal. Then we've got the stress. That's the demands placed upon you that exceed your ability to cope. And then the third stage are the signs and symptoms, and they're very unique to each individual. Stress indicators, they can be physical, behavioral, and or emotional. So we're going to break down each of these three stages now. First of all, let's look at the stressors. The source of your stress, the beginning point. These are the triggers that indicate you are going to experience stress. Okay, we can break our stressors up into two categories: personal and occupational or work-related. Personal stressors, they refer to relationship issues, children, complex and difficult children we need to manage as parents, finance, moving house, planning for a big event like a wedding or a holiday, having a baby, injury and illness. These are all examples of personal stressors. Then we've got work-related stress. It could be a difficult boss, uncertainty at work, reduced hours, boredom in the workplace, dissatisfaction with your job, difficult team members, poor performance, fear of your own safety. Okay, so we're all exposed to different types of stressors. And then the next stage of the process is the type of stress. And we can break up stress into four categories, but the starting point is to understand that stress can be good and bad. Eustress, which is the green. Eustress just simply means good stress. Okay, chronic meaning ongoing, and acute meaning one-off. So let's look at that first quadrant, chronic eustress. This is the best place to be. We need to work hard to stay here. We need some level of ongoing stress in our life in order to be strong, to develop our resilience and to be healthy and to grow. This is by far the best types of all the stresses out there, and it should be our goal to stay in that quadrant. Okay, this is where real quality of life exists and where we're going to be healthier and stronger. The next quadrant across is the acute eustress. This is energizing and motivating. It's a rapid onset, short, intense, good stress. You hear some fantastic news, maybe you do a great workout and there's endorphins and dopamine, oxytocin hormones are released and you feel great at the end of it. Okay, two types of good stress. Then we've got the bad stress. Down the bottom left-hand corner, we've got chronic distress. This is harmful. This is a quadrant we don't want to stay in for very long at all. This could be a toxic workplace, a toxic and unstable and unsafe home life, a harmful relationship. You need to get out of this type of stress because it can lead to things like anxiety, depression, self-harm, and addiction. Okay, and then we've got on the bottom right-hand corner, acute distress. Acute distress means rapid onset, short, intense, bad stress. Okay, this can be good, but it can be bad, and we need to be cautious. For example, a car accident, it can be bad, but there can be good that can come from it. Okay, we can reassess our level of respect for road rules and our level of concentration on the road, or maybe an altercation out in the street. Again, we can learn from those incidents and be better people from it, but we don't want to be exposed to these types of events too often. They can be damaging to our ongoing health. So 4 types of stress: good, bad, chronic, and acute. The final stage of the stress process is the signs and symptoms. And again, these are very unique to each individual person. We got physical, behavioral, and emotional signs and symptoms. These show that we're experiencing stress, good or bad. Physical signs and symptoms: nervousness, headaches, upset tummy, sleeping issues, itchiness, tension, shortness of breath. Behavioral signs and symptoms could be twitching, stuttering, problems with speech, withdrawing from people, forgetfulness, and maybe abuse of people, drugs, and alcohol. And then we have emotional signs and symptoms. That's anger, irritability, taking offense easily, withholding emotions, depression, and anxiousness. Now, it's really important that we understand our triggers and we understand the signs and symptoms of stress, so we're aware of them and we understand who we are, our ability to cope, and the indicators that show that we are actually experiencing stress. The next part, once you develop that self-awareness, we need to do something about it. And we've got short-term strategies that tackle the environment, and we've got long-term strategies that tackle the issue at the source, which is you. Now, we're going to tackle short-term strategies today and long-term strategies next week. Okay, so let's get stuck into some short-term strategies. These are things that focus on the environment, and we can do a lot of things to get some short-term wins by addressing some things in our environment. Number 1, take regular time for yourself. So that means planning to have your breaks, whether it's at work, planning to have regular time to do things that you like doing. It also means taking yourself out of stressful situations so you can minimize the time that you're exposed to those stressors. Number 2, avoid people who stress you out. Number 3, eliminate those time wasters, those things that are not going to move you toward your goals. Okay. Number 4, clear the clutter. Try and maintain a tidy home or a tidy work desk to eliminate unnecessary stressors. The next one along, change your transport methods. If build up a traffic in the morning stresses you out, take public transport. Or the opposite, maybe an overcrowded bus or train stresses you out, so carpool it, or maybe ride your bike to work or drive to work. Avoid hot button topics. Avoid conversations that are going to stress you out, whether it's politics, religion, and other events. And then the last one, plan your week ahead. Plan what you're going to do, where you're going to be. Try and minimize time in stressful environments and with stressful people. Your homework for this week: write out a basic stress management plan that includes these 3 things. Your top 5 stressors. Okay, it could be occupational or personal. Your top 5 signs and symptoms of stress could be emotional, behavioral, or physical. And then 5 short-term strategies to tackle your environment. Okay. If you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, please write them down so we can chat about them at our next session. So well done for doing your homework and watching this video. Look forward to hearing your feedback and chatting to you next week. Here's your fist bump. That's all for now. Take care, and we'll chat to you soon.